So I walked in this morning and I got a Christmas present. Let me turn this around. Got a brand new scaffold. And it's so nice to work on. You can get up to the engine without feeling like you're falling off. Hi, I'm Bob. He's Jan, and that's Dave. And together we're restoring an A-26 Invader bomber with the help of some amazing volunteers. So come along and join us on this amazing journey. Hey folks, this is Bob. I'm down here at the hangar, and I want to catch you up on what we've been doing and discuss some other things. But first, I wanted to talk about the meaning of the acronym QEC. For us, it means one thing, but in you airplane guys, you know what I'm talking about. The A-26 has a fairly unique QEC. Let me turn this camera around. So the QEC on an A-26 includes this big bell-shaped. Most engines in the aviation world are mounted on a tube frame. Corsairs, Hellcats, all of those. They were mounted on a tube mount that was all welded up. Well, Douglas, even the A-20, which is the predecessor to the A-26, used a tube frame mount for the engine that went on the A-20. Well, when they decided to build the A-26, they used these forgings, and there's 6 of them that wrap around this big breakfast bowl, and that's what's used to mount the engine to on the front end with these. Well, you can almost see it under here. There's a Lord mount here that mounts to, we've covered these up some time ago. You can almost see it in there. So there's a frame here that bolts to the case, and then this Lord mount comes through with this big bolt here. And then it comes through, and let's see if I can see this. So there's a bolt here and a bolt on the other side, and then there's the other side of the Lord mount is this down in here. And then you've got the 1/2-inch bolts that are under these covers that when we installed the engines, those bolts are under here. And so we still have to we safetied one of them, put the cover on. We've got 11 more to do. But the reason why I brought this up is because let me turn this around. I was curious to see what QEC means in the world not of aviation. And I was really surprised at how many there were. Let me read these to you. Quality Enhancement Cell, that's from Pakistan. Quality Error Correction, have no idea. Questair Energy Corp in Canada. Quick Easy Contact email marketing tool. Quantum Erasure Channel. Quality Environmental Containers Incorporated out of Beaver, West Virginia. Quadrantal Error Correction. Quebec English Corpus out of Quebec, Canada. Quaternary Environmental Change out of the UK. Quod Erat Constructum, that's Latin. Can you believe that, as was asked to be constructed? And Query Engine Chassis Number, Police Incident Code in New Zealand. And then the one that we use is Quick Engine Change. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting and wanted to share it with you. Well, my lovely assistant John is going to assist me with showing.
Did you say lovely?
I did say lovely.
Oh my.
Do me a favor.
Handsome. Debonair.
No, I'm gonna stick with lovely. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, come on up, Dave.
So do me a favor and run the throttles, which are the black handles, fore and aft. You'll have to take the friction lock off, would make it easier.
Back this way?
Yeah, now be careful because there's spring load on the carburetors and they like to spring forward, so keep it in your hand the whole time. If you notice, when John brings the throttles back, they're coming all the way back to the same position. And then if he marches it forward, they're stopping at the right place. And there's no, now take your hands off of them, there's no split in the throttles. Now I'm going to go over here to the engine and have you do the same thing, and we'll watch the motion in here. So go ahead, John, run the throttle. So you can see that linkage there translates from the firewall to a bell crank, and then there's an intermediate rod, and then that hooks right to the side of the throttle. I don't have enough light in here. Go ahead and run it again, John.
I don't think that can go back that way.
Okay.
Make sure that number.
So that's the motion.
Correct. That one has to be.
That's the motion of the throttle. Okay, so now John's going to show us the manipulation of the idle mixtures. So what happens is there's detents both in the throttle quadrant and in the carburetor, and they have to be synchronized. And so, John, if you want to go ahead and just run the right throttle, the right mixture, you're probably not going to be able to see this real well, but if you watch, this is going to drop into a gate, and we've timed it so that it does the same thing on the carburetor. So go ahead, and so that's idle, that's lean mixture, auto lean, then auto rich, and then the one more step is emergency rich. And if, John, you'll pull that all the way back till it drops in, that's idle cutoff there. Now let me go over here and we'll look at how that works on the engine. Okay, John, go ahead and do your duty. Okay, go ahead. All right. Okay, and if you notice, everything's hitting the stops on the carburetor. Go ahead and run it back, John. And there's idle cutoff. And just to give you a clue, you big block Chevy guys, now there's a carburetor for you. There's my hand. Anyway, we're continuing to work on getting things tied off. We have more conduits and cables to tie off in here. We have to, hold on, we have to have a blast tube from there that runs down to the generator right down there. We've got to install that. That's to keep the generator cool when you're flying. It takes air from the intake scoops for the oil coolers. We need to, there's just a plethora of things that we have to do. As far as those clamshells that we were working on last week, I'll show those again in another video. We're too busy in here to put them back in for the moment. So anyway, I'll get back. So one of the jobs we haven't done yet, so there's two bolts on the trunnions, or on the trunnions for the nose landing gear. We were able to torque this one, but this other one is a barrel nut, and they're really in a terrible spot, and they require 200 foot-pounds of torque. So the last time I tried to do this, I don't even know if you can see what I'm doing here. I'm trying to, hold on. Switch hands here. Trying to put a cut-off Allen wrench in here. They probably had some sort of special tool when Douglas did this. Part of the problem that I had the last time I did this, you have to do this with the crow's foot and a torque wrench. And the crow's foot broke out right here and went across the shop. Well, my good buddy Clay has brought me maybe a better product for it and a torque wrench. So let me see if I can get these torqued. So hold on. Okay, so it may look like it's relatively easy to get at,
but this is really tight quarters. Up here we have a defroster duct, and it's all hard in here. There's very little room behind this barrel nut, and then you run out of room on this forging. By the way, that hole right there is to be able to mount the nose over there one of these first days. Anyway, so in order to get this done, had to use a combination of both a hard breaker bar and then the torque wrench. And also part of the problem is that this landing gear strut gets right in the way of where you're trying to swing. But anyway, we got that job done. It's another thing off of the tick list of things that have to happen before we can fly this bird. I really appreciate you watching. Please share out my videos, subscribe, like, and leave comments. You guys' comments are great. Hope you're having a great day. See you on the next one. Hey, so last time Jan and I went up to Anderson Airmotive, we were able to secure a couple of the exhaust headers that we desperately needed. Let me turn this camera around, but we discovered a problem. After blasting, we found, and particularly in this one, I don't know how well this is going to come out on the camera, but there's pinholes in this thing kind of all over the place. And we just wouldn't feel comfortable patching that. Dave discovered on eBay the other day some exhaust pipes, and we just got them in. Now I'll have to do a whole bunch more blasting, cleaning, but that's the one that we desperately needed. And this is pretty funny. This was packed in Meow Mix bags. Somebody likes cats, and they're soda pop cups. Let me get these unloaded and I'll come back. Okay, I got these all out of the cat food bags, and they look pretty good. Now there is one thing that we're concerned with. 1,000 years ago, the Air Force determined that there needed to be plug welding, because this is basically the only thing that holds these exhausts. That one flange is the only thing hard mounted to the engine. This has got a slip pipe in here for expansion and contraction, and this thing can move back and forth. But the original spot welds were apparently breaking, and the exhaust would fall off into the sky, and then you'd be worrying about burning up your engine. So this was a solve that they got. They did some plug welding. Well, I needed, in addition to this one very special exhaust, which is underneath here, I needed like 5 of them to be plug welded. So this may solve that problem. We may have enough exhaust parts now that we don't have to do any additional work. I'll just have to spend several hours blasting parts to get them cleaned up. And Jan's over here addressing a problem. Up in here, what he's working on, and this lighting is terrible. Hold on a minute. Okay, so up in here, and it's hard to see, Jan's shining a light on it, but this is a reservoir, and behind over here is a hydraulic pump that operates a cylinder that closes the belly stairway into the aircraft. Well, we had some leaking going on in back here. Let's see if I can get up here. I'll go this way. Up in there, there's some piping that, as it turns out, we didn't know it, but there was a small crack in the pipe. So that's what Jan's doing. He's we're reworking that, and he came up with an idea that he's going to put a pressure gauge on
That's how
here.
that pipe goes there, Bob.
Okay.
That'll take the supply over to the door.
Okay. Yeah. Let me do that. Okay. Anyway, there's the cylinder. It's got this, got two pulleys here and this cable. And then there's two hinges that go up on the front here, and it will close this door once we get this all put together. This actually was part of the Bombay door, and it was modified to cut that door out, and it will allow passengers into the cabin area. Anyway, quick update, and I'll be back. Are we not plugged in under here somewhere? It appears that we are not. Where's the plug for the airplane? Well, crap. What? Where's the plug-in for the... Oh, it's over there. Okay, I was just trying to turn on the light in here and I couldn't figure it out. I have done figured it out. Okay. That's been running all this time again.